So I was walking up the stairs in the subway station today because I was going downtown Manhattan to do my weekly workout, lift some weights. Yeah. And what did I see but an ad for an IVF company? They have done a full buyout of at least the Broadway Lafayette subway station and maybe others, I don't know, where not only have they like put up their ads on the walls, they've also put them on the stairs.
Yeah, I've seen, I think they're only in New York right now, but so I've seen people post pictures of these, and like normally it's like, okay, IVF, like that's been around for a long time. Right. That's not super notable. And of course, like, you know, they're in weird spots like the staircase, but like the thing that I saw about these, you saw this in person though. Like you stepped on those stairs, you stepped on the babies.
Yeah, I did. I stepped on the very babies themselves because the way, like at that station, there's a really big staircase, and what they've done is they've put strips like on the fronts of each step so that they all together, when you're looking at them all at once, it composites into an image. And so what you get here as you're going up the stairs is you see the name of the company. It says Nucleus IVF Plus. And it says, have your best baby. And then underneath it says, pickyourbaby.com. And then underneath that, there are two babies. There's like baby, not like infant babies, but maybe like about a year old or so. There's like a little black girl and a little white boy. And I was like, that's interesting. Because it seems like this isn't just advertising the concept of in vitro fertilization. It seems to be making promises about what it is that IVF can do. So then I went over to pickyourbaby.com, which redirects you to the Nucleus Genomics website.
Oh, no.
And you'll see there's just like a carousel of babies. And then they give you a little bit about their pitch here of like what it is that you can do. And so they make the claim that you can see your future child's health, traits, and potential before pregnancy even begins. I'm just reading this right off the page. You dream about who your child will be, their laugh, their health, their happiness, blah, 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 because everyone deserves to be understood from the very beginning. It's the modern way to plan a family, guided by science, driven by love. It's simple. You and your partner swab your cheeks at home, and now for the first time, Nucleus can combine all your genes together, all of them, so you can glimpse the possible life you can bring into the world. And then they offer something called a baby preview, which is like, this is what we think the eye color will be, what the hair color will be, what the height will be, what the IQ will be, and what the autism will be.
I don't like that. Yeah, see,
you
that's
don't like
what
that?
I don't like that. No, I don't like, because this was the really notable thing about this to me, is that it's like, okay, this isn't just IVF. This is like sort of like low key or high key rather.
High
eugenics
key
coded.
eugenicist, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And that so like when we first did like one of the earliest episodes of the show, we talked about IVF, but I didn't really get into like the potential like eugenics discourse and like the way that some people might be able to use.
Oh yeah, no, we just kind of looked at it as, if you can't conceive or if you have difficulty conceiving, here is another technology that is available, and then sort of looked at some of the religious opinions on that, because at that point in that season, we were mostly talking about like religious components of natalism.
Yeah, but then like the fact that this is just sort of the current state, at least of this company, the way they're advertising it directly to people is kind of it's shocking to me.
It is shocking
that it's like, it's just so on the face eugenicist. I genuinely wouldn't have imagined that would be like a sales pitch. Like that would work,
because like eye color, hair color. Okay, sure, that's one thing. Whatever, that's like that's pretty standard, I think.
People like character customization in video games, sure. Like that, height, that you can do that. Maybe.
Height, I get. What's also interesting about this too, right, is that it doesn't just say here's the predicted height. It's a little thing that is like plus or minus the median. It seems so. Like here it says that this baby in this example here, Joe and Amanda in this example, that their baby's height will be +4. +4 what? I don't know. But like +4 points above median, I guess. IQ +10, autism -2. So a little less likely to be autistic, I guess. Again.
What is this like D&D stat list that they have? What do the pluses mean? That is so odd and esoteric and makes no sense.
But I feel like
also
you can
go on,
well, you can draw a line from what Balaji Srinivasan was doing to this. It's a little bit different because what that was just parental genetic testing, whereas this seems to be predicting even more things than just tendency toward certain inheritable recessive diseases, but this gives me a really bad feeling.
It's really, really awful vibes. And like when we were talking about Balaji and specifically talking about that history of his genetics company, that was like sort of what I was, because you did all the research for that one. So when we were going through that, I'm like, oh no, is he going to like tie this into like eugenics?
I remember that,
He doesn't really explicitly do that, at least like at that time when he started that company. But that was like one of my concerns. I'm like, oh my God, is that what he's going to do? And maybe it wasn't him, but it's clearly another company way later in this, like, especially in this, like, how more perfect could this have come in like the year 2025 like crazy tech overreach, like tech oligarchist, like far right overreach, like under Donald Trump. Like this is like, I'm shocked that this exists, but I'm also like, okay, if this were to be a thing in any year, it would have been this year. Like, obviously,
It appears, just looking at their website, that they have two main products. So the thing that shows you the likelihood of your child to be +10 autism, that's called Nucleus Preview, and that's just a swab-based DNA analysis. Okay. And then Nucleus IVF Plus, that appears to be a product that actually involves, I would assume, getting embryos and then testing those embryos for, expected traits before implantation, I would assume. Yeah. I'm just because that seems to be the pitch, right?
I'm really intrigued how the selection process goes, because I don't know if it's just those like stats or like those things that it tracks, like autism or IQ, but like what if like a family doesn't choose like the most optimized? Because like to me this sort of feels like it's designed in a way to like make you choose like the most optimized, and I'm doing that like in air quotes, the most optimized baby for your future. And it's like, if there is those perfect baby implications and you don't choose the one that's like the most perfect, it's not that like the doctor, whoever's involved in this, would judge you, but it feels sort of like there are some of those implications that you will be like, okay, why aren't you choosing the one with like the less autism and the higher IQ?
Here's the link. Can you see this? Does this take you right to the, oh no, this just takes you right back to the main website, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Eventually, once you click through for a while, you get to a page that is like an example of what you might get if you were using their IVF Plus product. And it's a big chart that says compare your embryos. And the columns are each embryo. So you've got embryo 1, which has the little, girl gender marker, the female gender marker. Embryo 2 has the male gender marker. Embryo 3, female. Embryo 4, male. Embryo 5, female. And then each row is a different characteristic. So eye color, it's like some of these are green, some of these are blue. Embryo 1 is likely to have green eyes. Embryo 2, on the other hand, likely to have blue eyes, etc. Hair color, some of them are dark brown, one of them is brown. Breast cancer, embryo 1 has a plus 15% likelihood of breast cancer, I guess. Embryo 4 has a 0%. Type 2 diabetes, height, IQ. Embryo 3 has the +9 IQ, but also a +2 percentage chance of having autism. This is sick. This sickens me. This makes me want to throw up. I'm not even.
No, genuinely, like, this is disgusting. Like, when I first saw this, and like, this is sort of the experience I've been having pretty much all of 2025, most of all in 2025. But I feel like the last few years generally, with like the route of all technology and like the way it's proposed to society and like the benefits, it all feels so fascistic and evil, and like everything's designed to be basically the Nazi, like the Nazi plan. This like feels like what the Nazis would have loved.
But I mean, again, not just Nazis. I feel like because the Nazi project was so eugenic specific, we forget about the fact that most of those eugenicist ideals were cultivated in the US and the UK and then taken up by Nazi Germany. I'll go ahead and send you a link here real quick so you can look at the embryo comparison chart for yourself.
Yeah, please,
next week's episode, this coming episode is going to be about eugenics, just a fun little taster of what we got coming. And I think what I found so striking about this is that it falls squarely in the intersection of what I am going to be talking about next week, which is the history of eugenics, and then the way that those fundamental principles have sort of been, they've gotten uptake by Silicon Valley freaks. I mean, again, just looking at this
it looks like a video game. Like, I feel like I'm looking at a fucking video game. This looks like an open world, like RPG type shit. Like, this is astounding. You need to get this in the show notes for this episode, just so people can look at this.
But it's also like, what the fuck do you mean +9 IQ? Like that the other thing that gets me is that something like eye color or hair color, like those are objective measurements. Yeah. But also you can't guarantee that this is going to happen. And, and with this more subjective stuff, even something like height, for instance, a lot of the way that height, happens, the way that one grows when they have their growth spurt is dependent on environmental factors.
Yeah. I mean, and to a degree, almost all of these things are like that. Like, there are, and when we were talking about Balaji in the previous episode, where it was like, okay, I think we were talking about how it's like, okay, we probably don't want like diseases that will kill children young, being being involved. And if you can take stuff like that out of the equation, that's really wonderful. That's like genuinely a wonderful thing. But then you get into like, like, what do you mean +2% autism?
+2 autism
disorder?
I equip
out of what? Like, there's the implication that it's bad or good. I don't even necessarily know what they're trying to go for with that.
I equip my mechanical keyboard, which gives me +2 autism. Like, what are we doing here, guys?
and it's like, okay, what if like, are they made like, I guess I'm also very curious, like, how much of this is just sort of made up?
I feel like a lot of it, right? Like, not that this stuff can't be tested for, but the stuff that you can test for is, for instance, what coded genetic abnormalities could you pass on, right? You either have the allele or you don't, or have the deformity on the allele or you don't, I should say. Those are objective characteristics that you either do or do not have, whereas some of these other things just are not that way.
Yeah. No, a lot, I think, I mean, I'm not a human biologist by any degree, but what I do know about general biology and ecology and evolutionary biology and some genetics is that there is a lot up to environment. Right. That's just how it is. That's just a fact.
I'll also just real quick read the
and mutation. Pitch. Like, go on.
That's on the website. It says, across New York today, you'll see 4 words. Have your best baby. They're meant to spark something. Curiosity, a pause, a question. Because the truth is, genetics has quietly reshaped what's possible for families, and almost no one knows. Most people still think about DNA in trivial ways. Does cilantro taste like soap? Where are my ancestors from? Very few think, could I preview my future child? Could I reduce their risk of cancer before they're born? But the science to understand your future child, their potential health risks, traits, even IQ, already exists. And yet the conversation hasn't caught up. The science sprinted ahead while public awareness stood still. This campaign is about closing that gap. Every family deserves to know that these tools exist, they're safe, and they can help you make more thoughtful decisions about your future child. Not every parent will want to use them, and that's okay, but everyone deserves to know. Modern family planning is here. For some, that means IVF plus. For others, it's getting their baby's preview. Whatever their path, Nucleus is here to help.
Can I just say, the phrase "have your best baby" feels like something that we would make up on this show as a joke.
Yes, it
really
it's fucking does.
Yeah. Oh my God. And like maybe there is like this knowledge gap insofar as that this technology or I guess like our understanding of that science, but I guess probably is, not really up to date with the current science and like what's possible. But I guess then we get into the debate of like, and I think it's a really important debate, especially as this technology seems to come to the forefront, is like, how much should we actually be involved with? It's like a very philosophical thing at the end of the day, I think.
Yeah. And also what, like, something like IQ, which is such a bullshit measure, right? Like, which is so fraught and again, so environmentally dependent on sort of how you are raised, particularly in your sort of early childhood and the way that you sort of come to see the relationships between things. Not to mention that it does not, something like IQ does not successfully encapsulate like all of the ways in which a person can have intuition and intelligence. It just, I don't like it.
We need to talk. No, I do not like this at all. And that makes me realize that we should probably have, and maybe it'll be on like this next episode you're putting together for us. But I think like talking, especially for this season that we're on, talking about IQ is actually fairly important in how people perceive like eugenics. I'm assuming you're going to dig into that.
Definitely,
for that next one.
I mean, the reality of IQ tests is that just like everything else, that are like that, there are things that were set up arbitrarily to keep certain people out and let other people in.
Absolutely.
And
like the way that the right has just hit, grasped IQ, and it like they just talk about all of this like it's just like the accepted like standard of intelligence is a little bad.
The reality of the situation, and again, I feel like I'm sort of starting to get into what my big thing is going to be for the next episode, but I'll just say this, right? All of these systems of measurement, which masquerade as being like scientific and objective, are very much systems that were built for a purpose, which is to create a scaffolding that appears objective and scientific, so that you can continue to order society along the lines where the people who had power before can continue to use that power in the face of a liberal ideal of what the relationships between humans in a society ought to look like.
Yeah.
Because, if you are somebody who believes in ultimate human equality, but you don't believe that like every person is equally as capable of doing human stuff, then it's like, oh yeah, well they're people, but like they're not, they're not like us. And that's what the thing comes down to. Anyway.
Yeah, it's a very, very bad slippery slope that, Nazism has never truly disappeared in like the tenets of it and even what came before that. Yeah, never. They're still out there, and they are manifesting in the most ominous companies out there.
Really? A Nucleus? You're going to call your company Nucleus?
Pickyourbaby.com. Have your best baby.
Have your best baby. You know what? Okay, you know what though? I'll tell you this for free.
Yeah.
When I think about having my best baby, I just think about all of the wonderful patrons who are listening to this episode right now.
There's so many of you now.
There's so many of you, and you are all my best baby. Until somebody becomes the chonky baby, at which point they will be the best baby.
So it turns out we do engage in eugenics in our show as well. Yeah. But until that happens, we're very anti-eugenics. Yeah.
Anyway, I might actually end up talking a bit more about this when we do the main episode, but it really grabbed my attention, which is the point. This feels scary, and it feels like it's leading us down some very, very dark paths.
I agree. I don't think this is the last time we'll see anything like this.
Nope.
In terms of like what IVF and like the technology and how it's pitched to people will be. This honestly is probably just one of many to come.
Oh yeah.
Very concerning. Also odd timing, because I feel like I saw this like a day or two after you were like, we're going to do an episode about eugenics. Yep. And then this appears on my timeline. I'm like, okay.
Are we spinning the lathe of heaven? What the fuck is going on? I don't
It feels like it,
it.
because this is like the third or fourth time that's happened with the show where we're like, let's talk about this. And then like news cycle about said topic drops like 2 days later.
Yeah. It's either that
it does feel like it.
Or it's just the psychological bias thing of like when you're paying attention to something, you notice it more. It's probably that. But I like to think that we're causing the news. Anyway.
Yeah.
Folks, you're listening to a preview of a bonus mailbag episode. If you want to hear the rest, go over to patreon.com/illconceived and sign up for $5 a month. That will allow you to become a standard baby and will give you access to our weekly bonus episodes. In these episodes, we read additional letters that we've gotten from you about every episode that we do, and we also read news. And as you've just heard from this preview, we also just kind of shoot the shit. So if you can't get enough ill-conceived in your life, again, that is patreon.com/illconceived, and we hope to see you there.